Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with, believe it or not, a second box of Stabat Maters. I mean, can you believe that? There's the Brilliant Classics box, which is much bigger than this one. This one is on Hänssler, and this one is only 4 discs. So if your tolerance for Stabat Maters is rather more limited, you might want the 4-disc one. God forbid you should just listen to one of them at a time. You know what the Stabat Mater is. It's the prayer that describes the weeping Virgin Mary at the foot of the cross, lamenting the torture and death of her son. Now, it's an extremely moving prayer, and it's been the source of some of the most gorgeous and beautiful settings of sacred music, particularly since it's usually written by a composer as a means of some sort of very personal prayer to the Virgin Mary, either recovery from an illness or after some horrible tragedy, or, so some composers have done their best work in the Stabat Mater field, but like the Requiem, it's not exactly a prayer or a setting that you might want to indulge in large quantities. And I certainly wouldn't blame you if that's how you felt. That said, this has some pretty cool Stabat Maters in it. I mean, it runs the gamut of Stabat Materosity. And let me just tell you what's in it and who does what, and we can take it from there, because there really is some very, very nifty stuff. I mean, I'm not even Catholic, and some of these works are just unbelievably great and deeply moving and expressive. So, your own religion doesn't make any difference. It's the emotional impact of the music. First, we get Dvořák's Stabat Mater, the largest Stabat Mater setting ever. One of his most deeply felt sacred works. A tremendous piece of music by any standard. And we have the singers are Marina Shaguch, something like that. Ingeborg Dance, James Taylor, Thomas Quasthoff, with the Organbach Festival Orchestra and Chorus under Helmut Rilling. And it's very good. It's a very good performance. Rilling is really good with sacred music, and he always picks good singers. So it's a beautiful performance. It really is. And then, oh yeah, baby, we have the Penderecki Stabat Mater, which is actually only, according to this, 2 minutes and 52 seconds long. So that's perky. It's with the Bavarian Radio Symphony Orchestra and the Munich Radio Orchestra under Christoph Penderecki himself. So that's a bit of a coup, getting the original guy to do his original thing there. I've seen Penderecki. I've seen him conduct before. He was a very good conductor of his own music. And depending on what he selected, he could be a very good conductor of other people's music too. But usually it had to be as dismal and gripping as his was. And then he really would get into it. Next, here's a wonderful work that no one ever hears, the Schubert Stabat Mater in F minor, which is Deutsch 383 for solo voices, choir, and orchestra. It's really a beautiful work, a lovely, heartfelt work, and a big one too. It's long. It's a whole thing here. It's got, let's see, 2, 4, 5 plus 8 is 13 plus 3 is 16 plus 9 is 25 plus 10 is 35 plus seconds added up. It's about 40 minutes long. That is a serious Stabat Mater. There's a lot of weeping and wailing in this particular setting. And wait till you hear who's doing it. It's a Margaret Guillaume and a Richard Holm tenor. She's the soprano. And Gerhard Gruschel bass, with the Cologne Radio Choir and the Gürzenich Orchestra of the city of Cologne, der Stadt Köln, as it was called then, conducted by no less than Günter Wand. Isn't that cool? It was Günter Wand in his earlier days when he was in Cologne, but that's really nifty. And then we have the the Vivaldi Stabat Mater, which is also in F minor, so it goes rather well with the Schubert for continuous listening. That's a briefer work, but it's 15, 20 minutes. It's a serious thing, and it's quite lovely. And this is with Martin Sieghart and the Virtuoso di Praga with a bunch of soloists, and, we don't need to get into that. And finally, bonus CD4, the Pergolesi Stabat Mater, recorded in Vienna in 1960 with Teresa Stich-Randall and Elizabeth Höningen, with the Wiener Philharmoniker, we all knew who they were, under Mario Rossi, with the Wiener Academy Kammerchor, chamber choir. That's 44 minutes long. Now, that's obviously not going to be a period instrument performance, but the Pergolesi Stabat Mater is the most famous Stabat Mater setting, and it's so well known and so popular that it really has transcended period anything. I mean, anybody can do it, and it's lovely. It's lovely. So there you go, a 4-disc set, rather inexpensively priced, of Stabat Maters. And like I said, I would take them one at a time or less. You don't want to weep and moan and carry on to excess. It's like listening to Tchaikovsky's Pathetique Symphony 6 times in a row. I mean, there are just some works that you don't play in large quantities. And I think Stabat Mater collections is one of them, but it's handy to have. It's definitely handy to have because some composers did some of their very, very best work. I mean, the Schubert is a genuine rarity and a beautiful one. The Dvořák is one of his great masterpieces. Vivaldi is absolutely lovely. Pergolesi is really famous. It's probably enough for most people to satisfy their Stabat Mater itch. Scratch it with this and you're in business. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.